Welcome back. We've seen one matchup of this Unified Standard Semifinal so far. We saw Tom Ross pilot an Ojitai Jeskai deck and beat Josh Utter-Layton's Esper Dragons in a pretty close three-game matchup.
Yeah, game 3 was especially close. It came down to Erishun Clark apparently delivering some beatdowns, and Josh was able to stabilize if he had one more life. If he had one more life, he had a pretty good shot at stabilizing. As it was, he was not able to.
Yeah, one more life or one more removal spell, and I think Josh wins that. But Tom got him for Xaxes.
That he did.
All right, now the second match, it is going to be Tom playing a green-red Dragons deck. He's got the Megamorphs package in there with, I think it's 3 Den Protector, 3 Deathmist Raptor. It's not at its best in the green-red Dragons deck, but these are still good cards that you kind of want to play somewhere. Josh Utter-Layton, however, does not have a Megamorph package anywhere. His green-red Devotion deck is trying to go over the top here. Both players basically have their Atarka deck set up in the middle as the B deck.
And Josh has more Atarkas, so I assume in the Atarka mirror, the person with more Atarkas and who's able to cast them more often is going to win.
What is he, up 3-2?
Yeah, he's up 3-2, but realistically it's more than that because Josh actually has the mana to cast it, and Josh has, 3 Genesis Hydra, so he has more ways to find it.
Yeah, in Tom's case, Atarka is just the 7-drop that's sitting at the end of his mana curve. But in Josh's case, Nykthos just allows him to accelerate into those much faster, much more reliably.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like Devotion has the edge here, but let's see what happens. Josh wins the die roll. He's got what? Caryatid with Courser. Wow, he's also got the...
He's also got the Atarka.
and the Nykthos. How quickly does Atarka come down? Is it turn 4?
If Josh goes turn 2, Caryatid, turn 3, Courser, no, it's not turn 4. If he plays Voyaging Satyr, he's at 6 mana, but presumably the Voyaging Satyr gets roasted by a Draconic Roar if it comes out.
Yeah, and he needs the Caryatid for the red mana.
Oh, Josh could go for it here. He could go turn 2 Caryatid, turn 3 Caryatid Satyr. That doesn't actually sound that bad. If Tom has a removal spell, you wait a turn on Atarka, but all you're missing by doing that is, I guess you don't have a land yet. So it's key if Josh draws a land this turn. If he doesn't draw a land this turn, then playing a Courser seems a lot safer. I imagine he snaps off the block though.
Yeah.
Josh may think they're running the mirror here. So Tom gets to play Thunderbreak into Thunderbreak with 2 burn spells in hand. So this is not a bad hand by any means. It is interesting that if Josh draws a land and plays the 2 mana creatures, it disrupts Tom's Thunderbreak by a turn for Tom to burn those out. Of course, Josh didn't draw an untapped land, so that makes that a little less enticing.
He'll have to settle for turn 5 Atarka. So now what's the play? Courser before you play your land drop?
That's certainly one of the plays, yes. You could... I think there's 2 main plays. It's Nykthos, play 2 mana creatures, or Courser and see what your top card is before playing anything. The Nykthos play has higher upside, so I'm not too surprised Josh chose it. If he draws a land next turn, he has Atarka. This also forces Tom to potentially kill one of his creatures instead of play something else, it's a little more disruptive in that way.
Sure. Right. I mean, he's representing Atarka even if he doesn't necessarily know that he can do it. So Tom may be tempted to kill the Satyr. I mean, just Satyr with Nykthos is good, but no. Tom wants to get his 4/4 onto the table first. Second Atarka is Josh Utter-Layton's draw.
So Josh cannot quite... He can go like Courser, but he can't quite get full value off Nykthos quite yet. I mean, he can tap Nykthos for 5, but he has to use the Voyaging Satyr. So if he had hit a land off the Courser, he wouldn't have enough red. It would be close though.
Yeah. So he settles for Courser plus Scryland.
But Josh is guaranteed now to cast the Atarka next turn. I mean,
yeah.
Tom has to kill. I guess Tom can, if Tom kills the Courser and the Voyaging Satyr, then Josh can't play Nykthos next turn, or can't play Atarka next turn, but Let's see. Well, actually, Tom can do that. Tom can go Draconic Roar your Voyaging Satyr, and then
What
Crater's
should he do, though?
Claws.
Like from Tom's perspective, you have a Thunderbreak. Your opponent's clearly on Devotion. You're afraid of Atarka, but you also see a Whisperwood on top.
I like just killing both the creatures here because you're attacking for 7, putting Josh to 14. Actually, using the Crater's Claws in that manner doesn't sound great. I would lean towards just playing another Thunderbreak. I actually think Tom is just going to burn Josh out this game. If you just play another Thunderbreak, you have 6 points of burn, 8 points of burn plus what you can pay for X. That's pretty hefty right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second Thunderbreak. Free land off the Courser. Josh is going to be stuck drawing a Wooded Foothills next turn, though. No, he's going to be, or he could manifest a Wooded Foothills. Can he go Atarka and Whisperwood?
So you can
Probably.
tap Nykthos for 5, and then untap Nykthos. He can play Whisperwood, and he can tap Nykthos. Yeah, he can play both Atarka and Whisperwood here.
That seems like a good play.
It is not bad. And so Josh is at 18. He takes 3 off the Thunder, or he takes 6 off Thunderbreak. If he Atarka's a Thunderbreak here. So he might actually not want to Atarka the Thunderbreak.
Just trust in your giant blocker.
The problem is you take 6 damage off the Thunderbreak if you kill it. So that puts you to 12. I mean, you take 4 if it attacks you, but you might be in a position where you never get attacked by a Thunderbreak. So I could see just killing Elvish Mystic here. Crazy. I think that's actually a very reasonable play.
He's going to kill the Thunderbreak.
Yeah. So then Josh goes pass, and then Tom has 6 points of burn in his hand off the Draconic Roars and 6 points off the Crater's Claws. But then Josh will gain a life next turn, presumably off the Courser. At least you're assuming that's going to happen. You block Whisperwood, and you don't take lethal yet. Yeah, it's actually pretty close here.
Crazy game.
Tom could attack with Thunderbreak, and then when Josh blocks, double Draconic Roar the Atarka. Tom could actually just go double Draconic Roar Atarka, Crater's Closet for 0, which is then 2, and then attack Josh down to 2, and then you have a Thunderbreak in play and Josh at 2, and you're not anywhere close to taking lethal. That might be the best, because if you just...
That sounds great.
You could double Draconic Roar like something else, and then just pass, and then hope to untap in Crater's Claws, but this seems pretty safe. Then it's funny because it leads to Josh then playing Atarka, and I think having to kill himself on the Thunderbreak. Yeah, so it looks like Tom's not going to go quite for that plan. He's just going to go for a straight up burn plan here.
All right, Draconic Roar your Satyr, Draconic Roar your Manifest.
So Josh can attack Tom down to...
He didn't have the 3 red mana for your play, did he?
Well, he had a Wooded Foothills in hand.
Oh, he can play the Wooded Foothills, and then he does. Okay.
So Tom still has lethal damage with the Crater's Claws here if the Thunderbreak stays in play.
And if the Thunderbreak leaves play, then it probably took 3 damage.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably dealt 3 damage by being targeted.
So I think Josh is actually dead here. This is a surprising game for the Devotion deck to lose. It feels like the Dragons deck really stole this one. He had double Thunderbreak plus double Draconic Roar plus Crater's Claws, using all his cards and all his mana.
He attacked for what, 4 damage with a creature, and then just dealt 16 or at 17 because of the Courser.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So Josh now gets to attack for 12, and Tom just takes and goes to 5. And then Atarka can't actually kill your opponent.
What a crazy game. A Thunderbreak Regent, the 3 damage. And 2 of them obviously turning it into 6 damage is going to swing this game.
Yeah, it's funny. Josh deciding to kill the Thunderbreak actually, I think, ended up dealing more to him than he would have taken off Thunderbreak. Not saying it was right to do that, because that's a play that only worked.
You're really going to play Atarka and kill only Elvish Mystic? It's such a crazy line.
Yeah.
It does seem like it might have worked out this game.
But that's just... Your opponent having 13 points of burn in hand is a little unlikely.
Sometimes they have 13 points to burn. Yeah, this Creator's Clause is just lethal. And even if Thunderbreak died as a response, it would probably be dealing the 3 damage anyway. So you don't really even need the Monstrous. Tom Ross. Up a match already, and now up a game.
Yeah, it's been pretty funny so far.
Wow. Cool game. That was interesting.
Yeah, that game was that was a lot of burn spells.
Hey, look, part of the reason you put them in your deck, right? Now, does sideboarding change this matchup at all?
I mean, it's a thing. Like they both get to bring in cards. Like Josh, if we can take a look at Josh's list here, he's got some things that are quite relevant. He's got, Plummet is decent.
Yep.
And Arbor Colossus is quite good. Nylea's Disciple helps shrug off burn as well.
Fully four of them too.
Yeah, my guess is you don't want all the Nylea's Disciples, but some amount seem good for sure. Xenaghost the Reveler, not quite as good maybe.
What is he taking out though?
Probably the Reveler. Probably I could see some number of like Genesis Hydra, just because you're not. How many games are you getting to the point where you have like 20 mana and you're not winning already because you already have, Hornet Queens and Atarkas. Actually, Pelucranos might not be the best card just because it doesn't interact well with Storm Breath or Thunderbreak. So I could see that being less of a priority. And Whisperwood is a little more generically powerful if they're not disrupting it.
I'll buy that. How about on Tom's side? Can we see his list?
So Tom gets to board in Barrage of Bowlers, I would imagine, because he knows about Hornet Queens. He knows that Hornet Queen's lurking there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Roast kills some of the things. It doesn't kill Arbor Colossus, though. So Tom doesn't have quite as much that's relevant as Josh does. I don't think. I mean, do you want to board in Plummet against Atarka? That doesn't.
I was
seem very
about to
strong?
ask you exactly the same question. I did see Plummet get sideboarded in this matchup at the GP this weekend, which surprised me a little bit, but it actually worked out to be good.
Yeah, maybe that's right. I mean, I haven't played this specific matchup, but I could see.
Atarka is gigantic, and like nothing else you have can really kill her.
Yeah, I could see you just needing an answer to the 8/8. So that makes some amount of sense for sure.
Interesting. We are playing best 3 out of 5 matches. Each match is a normal best 2 out of 3 game. So right now, Tom up a match and up a game. Josh on the play with a less explosive draw than last time, but
still quite a good one. I mean, turn 2, Sylvan Caryatid, turn 3, even if you miss, Morphing Rattleclaw for a potential turn 4 Arbor Colossus. And Tom, is a little short on Draconic Roars here, so Tom is not going to be able to kill. He's got a Roast, I guess, which you would roast a face-down creature. So,
still no third land for Josh, so here's the Caryatid.
But Tom doesn't have untapped lands either, so Tom now goes, Temple, go, and then next turn, Death Mist Raptor Temple, unless he finds an untapped land.
All right. Can Josh come up with a land for Pelucranos? Yes.
He can.
Is that the play here?
If you play Pelucranos, you have to draw another untapped land to play Arbor Colossus. But yeah, I would just slam Pelucranos here. Thing is, if Arbor Colossus isn't like so much better than Pelucranos, that you might as well play Pelucranos, then maybe you can have your cake and eat it too if you draw an untapped land. Whereas if you play Rattleclaw, you're just locking yourself into only having one big thing in play next turn.
Yeah, also one of these dies to Draconic Roar and the other doesn't. I mean, it turns out Tom has the Roast, which is the one way he can easily kill Pelucranos. Yeah.
But he's going to have more Draconic Roars in his deck than Roasts. And certainly going to see a Roast get cast here.
Elvish Mystic chipping away, doing its best Erishan Cleric impersonation.
And Josh did draw the untapped land, and he was even a Nykthos, which is a nice land to draw when you're about to play a triple green spell. Josh is getting pretty fortunate with his draws here. You know, what goes around comes around. Josh rattled off, multiple untapped lands to have a very, very good draw. Turn 3, Pelucranos, turn 4, Arbor Colossus on the play is very hard for Tom's deck to deal with. Tom's going to start reveling here, it looks like. Thing is, Thunderbreak doesn't get any attacks in. Reveler at least makes creatures to block with. You could also just play Deathmist Raptor, which would also hold off Arbor Colossus. Either way, Josh is going to start ramping up here pretty quickly because Josh can next turn Nykthos for 4, 5, 6 mana. So Josh can play Genocide for 4, but my guess is he just goes like face down Rattleclaw, Temple Go, and then plans to cast something enormous the turn after that.
Yeah, he's one short of Hornet Queen, right?
He gets up to 6 this turn, whereas next turn he can have tons off Rattleclaw, unmorphing, and having an extra untap land, and activating Nykthos for an extra 1. Left a Pelucranos on top there.
If Pelucranos is on top, this Genesis Hydra for 4 playing sounds a lot better all of a sudden.
Yeah, you get to Audible now. The Scrylands do give you those options.
What's he going to hit? Oh, look at that. A
Two Pelucranoses.
Pelucrani?
Pelucranosis. So then Josh is clearly not going to trade Arbor Colossus for a Deathmist Raptor, but next turn could just slam with Genesis Hydra, could attack with Pelucranos, could just hold back. Kind of like just holding back attack, like maybe offering the Genesis Hydra trade, if anything. Of course, Arbor Colossus makes the attack with Genesis Hydra a little less enticing.
The Arbor Colossus mirror, and Josh has a plummet. Doesn't hit anything. Now what?
Well, let's see.
Just make a Hornet Queen?
Hornet Queen seems like a pretty good deal.
He's building up to a pretty big Monstrous on the Pelucranos, too, which Hornet Queen contributes nicely to.
Yeah, next turn he'll have 3, 6, 10, 11, 12 off the Nykthos. So 15, and then an extra 2 off the Rattleclaw. So 17 mana, he can Pelucranos for 8. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good line of play. And then attack with like a bunch of creatures.
Hello. Dragon Lord Atarka, not nearly as easy to cast in Tom's deck.
No.
Although I guess he can get there next turn with Xenagos, in theory.
Yeah, my guess is that Josh is just going to wipe all of Tom's creatures. And then I guess you could not kill the Death Mist. You can just kill everything but the Death Mist, maybe. Oh, it looks like Tom's going to actually, instead of zeroing, just play a Thunderbreak. And Josh can't quite Monstrous to kill everything now, but he can still kill Arbor Colossus and then plummet the Thunderbreak and then attack with everything. So yeah, here comes a monster. You can pick off the Mystic too while you're at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also get to attack the Xenagos with exactly just the 4 Hornets, just to make sure you kill it without wasting extra splash damage. Mm-hmm. Then you maybe offer maybe you don't even offer to trade on the ground, I guess. No, it's just you do too much damage, I think, if you do.
Yeah, Deathmist gets to trade with his choice of ground fatties.
Alright, here we go.
Flipped the Rattleclaw. Now Nykthos. Up to 13.
So 18 mana, -2 for Plummet, presumably is 16, which is really 15 when you're talking about Pelucranos. So 7, which kills Arbor Colossus and Elvish Mystic. Then you plummet the Thunderbreak. Then you attack with everything. Tom blocks Pelucranos with the Death Mist. And then Tom takes 10. I guess it doesn't take 16. It takes like 12 and you kill the Xenagos.
Yep. Makes sense to me. See if Josh agrees with us.
Yeah, we'll see. It seems like the play. It seems like the things line up exactly. You actually know you can get to attack with the Rattleclaw, so you get to even do an additional 2. You don't need the Rattleclaw mana.
Are we actually getting toward lethal?
You could put Tom to like 3 to 1, it looks like. But I would rather just put Tom at 5
Kill
and not,
Xenagos.
yeah, and just kill the Planeswalker.
All right. Here we go. Pelucranos 4/7. That kills Arbor Colossus and Elvish Mystic. Plummet in hand. Thunderbreak on the other side. Josh, it's like, I can go to 15, right? My opponent's got 2 cards in his hand.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like last game where I get burned for 17. No, not going to be like last game where you get burned for 17. You can attack with all saved 1 click there if you have to unattack with the Hornets. Switch them over to Xenagos. Yeah, Tom sees it coming. He's done. On to game 3. Josh Utter Layton evens up. Red-green versus green-red. We're going to see a game 3.
Yeah, it looks like it. And that's more how I would expect the matchup to go when you're not getting burned out for 13. But Josh's draws were certainly quite good.
Yep. I mean, he's had 2 great draws, though. Just one of them was vulnerable to a lot of burn. Game 3, Tom does get to be on the play. Feels like he's capable of having pretty fast draws. I mean, he's capable of coming out faster, I guess. I don't know. If it's a race to getting a 4/4 flyer on the table, I like Tom's side, but race to getting an 8/8 flyer on the table definitely favors Josh.
Yeah, it's more like whether Tom can either win the battle over mana. Obviously, if Josh stalls on 3 or 4 mana, then he's in huge trouble. But if Josh opens on Caryatid, which he has both times so far,
Right.
that's a little tough. Once Tom's conceded the mana battle, Tom really just tries to sneak in damage with his dragons and then burn Josh out, which is what he did game 1.
Fair enough. I'm trying to get Tom's internet flickered, so we're going to take a second and get his hand cam back online. So we may have just a second. We will, while we have a minute or two, why don't we re-announce the stuff we were talking about in the pregame show? People have been asking us, when is Vintage Super League going to come back? The answer is 2 weeks from tonight. Next week, we've got the SSL Finals, and then there's no break. We will just be back. Vintage Super League will be up starting on, that works out to be Tuesday, July 7th. Going to be a relatively short season in the grand scheme of things. 8 of us are going to be playing. It's going to be a double elimination bracket. So take over the course of 3 weeks. You're in it until you lose twice. Somebody will be crowned the season 3 Vintage Super League champion at the end of 3 weeks. And that person wins a nice foily set of Vintage Masters. Be cool.
I just want to see how many people bring Bazaar Baghdad to the Vintage Super League.
Would you run Dredge in that format? Well, you wouldn't run Dredge.
I'm not saying I would or would not run Dredge.
Okay.
How many decks have been submitted over to? So it's 3 for each regular season, so 6, and then 7 because the first playoff deck was just 1, and then the second playoff deck was 3, so 10. So I've run 40 Force of Will so far, but
you have 4 Force of Will in every single list. Well, you can play Dredge with 4 Force of Wills.
That's true. I've actually lost to that Dredge deck before, where they have Force of Will and Mindbreak Trap and Mental Misstep.
Yep. That's actually my favorite version of Dredge. Not that I've run Dredge in BSL either.
That's a good setup for you running Dredge.
The Vintage Super League, in addition to crowning a winner and letting us trash talk like this for 3 more weeks, is going to feed into a Super League championship. So we've basically got the Super League figured out for the rest of the year. VSL is going to run in July. Then we take a break. Oh, they've started the match. We'll talk about Super League Championship later. Let's get down to the game 3 here. Devotion versus Dragons.
So Tom's bluff attacks into Caryatids eventually worked out as Tom barrage a boulder to Caryatid away and then played
Oh
a
my
Storm
god,
Breath.
he did it!
After Tom Mullen took, what, like 5 or something? Like, Tom has, it's his turn 4 and he has access to 7 cards.
Good grief. But he did manage to barrage of boulders to kill Caryatid.
So Tom mulled to 4.
Wow.
And the game is definitely not over here.
No, that was a pretty quick Storm Breath.
But Josh is going to have, even though he lost a Caryatid, if Tom doesn't draw a removal spell, Josh is going to have a turn 5 Atarka. Or Hornet Queen, whichever he decides. My guess is Atarka just wiping Tom's board here is the plan. Oh, Tom didn't mull the 4. He's just, his hand cam is not showing Draconic Roar, which is huge right here. Yeah. So
Tom's hand cam is misbehaving, apparently.
So that barrage was actually huge then, because now Tom gets to Draconic. So yeah, Tom gets to now Draconic Roar, and I think Josh has to block here, by the way. Put Josh down to 9 and then get an extra attack off Storm Breath. So this is going to be a close game, though. Josh still gets to cast his 7-drop here. I mean, what's better than Draconic Roar rather than Secret Draconic Roar, right? Looks like Tom mulled to 6 if he had 2, or no, maybe 5 actually.
I think it's 5.
Yeah.
I think that he managed to slow Josh down enough. He said if he can win the mana fight, he killed a Caryatid, he killed a Satyr, he held off Atarka until turn 6, by which time he'd gotten in a couple of hits with Storm Breath.
Yeah, the part that's tough now, though, is that Tom's about to lose his board.
Yep.
And Josh is going to put him on a really quick clock with Atarka, and Tom, it's hard for him to draw, from 0 burn spells to draw up to 5 damage. That requires multiple burn spells, and Draconic Roar doesn't quite do it unless he uses Haven here.
Yeah, land Crater's Claws would do it, right?
Now, yeah, he's drawn the land. So
Crater's Claws is now lethal.
That is the plan here. He's got 2 turns to draw it, it looks like.
So he can draw running Draconic Roar. Haven, he can make that work.
Yeah.
So he's either going to draw 2 Draconic Roars or 1 Crater's Claws. And he has to do it. Does he even have 2 turns? Or is this Hornet Queen? It's what, 6? Yeah, he's taking 14 next turn.
Yeah, and he can't roast any of it.
Yeah, you can't roast a flyer. So there's 14 in the air. Tom Ross has 1 draw step to come up with a Crater's Claws if he wants to take a 2-0 lead. Otherwise, Josh is going to even things up, and Elvish Mystic is the draw phase. Wow.
Going to roast the Elvish Mystic.
Super close game, but the attack with all button is going to do Tom Ross in. Wow.
Yeah, this was a close match.
This was close. Tom killed Josh for Xaxes in the last match, game 3. This time it's Josh killing Tom for Xaxes. So 1 game apiece. We are going to get at least 4 matches of Magic tonight. And we are guaranteed to get at least 1 match where the players have to do the mental exercise of figuring out which of their 3 unified standard decks they want to play.
Yep, and it's going to be interesting to see. Once they see all 3, there's just this like multi-level game going on where like deck A is good against deck B against deck C, but sometimes you have a deck that's just good against 2 of their decks. So you're like, well, I should play this because 2/3 of the time it's good. But if they've come to the same conclusion, they might just play a 3rd deck. So it's always like, which level do you want to be on? You always want to be 1 ahead of your opponent, not 2 ahead of your opponent.
All right. Well, I do my best to stay impartial, but I was definitely rooting for not a sweep because I want to watch that. We know we're going to get there. We're going to have the 3rd match. We're going to get to see the 3rd different decks that these guys have brought together. We're going to take a very quick break. Stay tuned, guys. Things are heating up. We'll be right back with match number 3.